And welcome to ILoveGay today. And this is another of our video series in conjunction and partnership with GALTA, the Gay and Lesbian Travel Association in Australia. And so we are here with one of the original founders, Rod Stringer. How are you, Rod?
I'm great, thanks, Matt. Good.
God, it's been forever. You and I have a habit of just hanging out and bumping into each other at all the various LGBT travel events that we go to.
Yeah, we miss the travel. We can't sort of do that anymore. We sort of like, we can't get over to see you and you can't get over to see us. So hopefully it won't be too far away when that will all go back to normal, but we just hope and pray anyhow.
Exactly. And trying to live our lives accordingly and connect virtually.
Yeah, sure.
No, but tell us, because you're one of the original founders of GALTA, and you must have. I mean, things must have been so different when you were first getting everything started.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what I was running like a farm stay gay holiday place, like about 100 k's south of Sydney called Tara Country Retreat.
Yeah.
And at that stage, having had a bit of a history in the gay community before having done that business, we looked at joining IGLTA, or was it IGTA then, as it was, as something to connect and also to help drum up business for our little bed and breakfast down in the country, New South Wales. But so we started going to a few conventions and things like that. But then we found, of course, in the early days of IGLTA, it was very American focused. And then, of course, there had never been a convention offshore of North America, even though they called it the International Association. So we decided, like good colonial boys, to go and do our own thing and then form our own association. So collectively we could work together to promote Australia as a destination to the gay community. So that's how it all began.
Such rebels. But
we're colonials,
Yes, but it worked because you had I don't know if it was a convention or a symposium, but you had a main event from IGLTA in Melbourne, I think, at one point along the way.
Yeah, we had some symposium in Melbourne, and we had a convention in Sydney, and I think it was 1996, if I remember rightly. Yeah, so we had a big convention, and that was the first time they'd had one in Australia. I think that previously, Rosemary Hopkins and Lynn Hocking, they had organised a FAMIL and things like that to Melbourne. So that's probably what you were on when you were down here then.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But no, what I was going to say, as long as I've known you, you've been this resort owner there in Noosa with Horizons.
That's right. Yeah.
Horizon. Yeah. What's the second word? I always get that wrong.
Horizon's at Peregian, so it's always so awkward to say it sometimes. But in Aboriginal language, it means big emu. So it's an emu. There's a big mountain behind it called Emu Mountain. So, but we had a good. We do best, and we used to host when we were at Peregian, which is part of the Sunshine Coast near Noosa. We would host a Mardi Gras recovery party each year. So after the Sydney Mardi Gras, we'd always have dozens of guys that come up to Noosa, and we'd organise parties and dance parties and river cruises and events and things for them, and pool parties, which were fun. Anyhow, but so that was our sort of connection to the community then. Yeah.
There's a lot of our interviews are everybody in Queensland. I've thoroughly enjoyed. It's given me a lot of reasons to be able to want to come up there.
Yeah, sure. Well, we hope you can come down and visit us soon. Well, things are starting to open up now, so things that might be good for us. It'll be a long time, I think, before we'll be able to open up to North America, but we'll be opening up to some other places before then. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about your history. You go way back with some of the very first magazine. I've just learned when some of your compatriots at GALTA were giving me some updates that you were with a publication called Campaign.
Yeah, it was actually Australia's first national gay newspaper, and I think we're a bit inspired by having met the publisher for Advocate when I was in my early days of going to America, and having thought, well, firstly, going to some of those wonderful gay bars in San Francisco and Los Angeles in my youth when I was out and about, has sort of inspired me to go join with some friends and open up nightclubs in Sydney. And at that time, as when we felt like we needed to put something back into the community, and seen the Advocate and what a wonderful, journal it was in America, and what a good communication it was out to the general American public, particularly when things were very closeted and stuff like that as well. And so we got a bit of money together with some investors to start Campaign magazine. So it wasn't easy.
I bet. No, that was amazing. I had no idea about that and that side of your life. And I also didn't know that, as you just described, that you were a bar owner there in Sydney as well, with a place called Patches.
Yeah, it was. We'd had a few smaller bars before that. We had one up at Sydney's King's Cross, and then eventually, it was always a difficult trading area, King's Cross, for us. And eventually, we were able to get hold of some premises in Oxford Street, which when that also goes back to about to 1976, and then. So when we opened Patches, which had formerly been an illegal gambling club, so there was quite a few in Sydney being the city that it is. So in that it ceased operation. It was beautifully set up and decorated, so that we opened up the club called Patches. And again, it turned out to be the best and, the most popular club in all of Sydney, gay or straight, at that particular time. And it was also... it was a celebrity venue, so that the likes of Elton John or Rod Stewart or Lisa Minnelli or Peter Allen, all those sort of people would come into Sydney. That was always come to Patches. So it always had that reputation of being, not a sort of little gay bar on a corner in a dark corner somewhere, with a back room. It was more of a celebratory club with, cabaret shows and things like that. But it was greatly successful. And American things inspired us, and we used to get our music direct from New York before they'd even play them on radio stations in Sydney. So it was a great success, and I very much enjoyed that part of my life.
Wow, it sounds like Studio 54 in Sydney.
Yes, it was, but I never went to Studio 54 actually. Much as I've been in America quite a few times, but yeah, that was true. Yeah.
Amazing. I can hear all the birds out there in your. Australia's wildlife. I love it.
Well, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. I've got a couple of birds, my little ones behind me here. They'll tweet at you.
Wow. It's one of my fondest memories when I was outside of Melbourne and we stayed in a farmhouse on one of our little adventures, and the wildlife out there was something I'd never heard before.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it's one of the main features of Australia, and why people want to come here as a holiday, to see the wildlife and to see the outback and to see the kangaroos and see the koalas, and apart from the other attractions of the Barrier Reef and things like that. But I think Australian wildlife is unique, and I think that's a huge attraction for people to visit the country as well.
Yeah. And we'll be back, and I'm looking forward to being able to not only hang out with you, but actually see you on your home turf one of these days soon.
I hope so soon.
But no, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying, in winding up, Matt, I think, it's been very hard through the virus for everybody in the industry, and then even in Australia, only today they announced that Melbourne is opening up after 111 days of lockdown and everything like that. So it's been, and as the states here are all pretty individual in the way they manage their health situations, there's been sort of, states have been locked off to each other, but we locked down early in Australia. And I think as a result, we've got on top of the virus here. And I think that, we're very pleased with the government, the way that things have handled things for us. And we'll be able to open up soon to, probably not to America for quite a while, but certainly to places like Taiwan and Korea and Singapore and places like that that have a very low transmission rate. And New Zealand, of course, our sisters across the Tasman, across the ditch, as we call them.
Exactly. Yes, because they're like it's such a story coming out of New Zealand of such a success that they've, and so it's inspiring.
That's good.
Yes. But no, thank you so much for being here. And again, it's just taking a few moments out of your time to share your thoughts with the world, and also remind us that we're all out there.
I know. Thanks very much, Matt. And thanks very much for the chance to do the interview. Thanks very much.